In this week's episode, we are going to talk about the trad wife. And so, without further ado, let's get into it. Hello, everyone. You're listening to All Cards on the Table podcast with Claire and Sylvia, a show that talks about how men and women aren't so different from each other. We just don't speak the same language. We will dissect every topic and put an end to miscommunication. So, get ready to get uncomfortable. Hi, and welcome back. My name is Claire Attio.
Hi, everyone. This is Sylvia.
And this week, we're following on really from last week's episode. This week, we're going to be talking about the trad wife, the whole phenomenon of the trad wife coming back. And it's hilarious that it's got its own name and label now. Basically, it's the traditional family dynamics, the traditional relationship between a man and a woman, and the roles that they take within their relationship. And so it's hilarious that it's a trending thing. It's hilarious that it's got its own name. What's not so hilarious is the backlash that women are experiencing from other women because they have chosen to stand in their feminine, to embrace their femininity. And it's feminists that are attacking them for doing that. And that's what we're going to unpack today. Is that not right, Sylvia?
Yes. It was really heartbreaking to see that the majority of the comments were so negative that were coming from other women. And of course, the argument there, after doing a little bit more research, like, of course, men want that. Of course, they're like desiring that and things like that. And we're going to argue, obviously, both sides. But to me, there's nothing worse than a woman attacking another woman. To me, that's just like the worst thing we can do towards each other. Is like, we've already have enough things that we have to stand together against, and to then another woman attacking just for purely staying at home or making a decision for herself.
When you go back to that statement, of course a man wants that. What's so wrong with that? What is so wrong? Why have we always, and this is where I've said many, many times, we need to be careful as the divine feminine rises. We need to be careful that we don't step into as feminines into the patriarchal and just creating that matriarchy, but with the same dysfunctional, unhealthy dynamics. Of course, men are going to want that, so it's something really bad that we should actually be loving, kind, considerate, and compassionate to men. It's almost, that's almost, it's almost a sin to a lot of these women that are being really negative.
Exactly.
And it's like writing horrific comments towards other women.
And like, by doing that, to me, I'm going like, you're literally doing what the patriarchy has been doing. You're continuing on, just in different color per se. And it's not, I mean, like, not everyone. And I think you could see a lot of the backlash as well now with this whole Disney Snow White, where she, you have these actors, or a young actress, talking about how she's going to be a girl, the Snow White who fights for her beliefs and grows up to be the strong Snow White. And they're not going to talk about true love or anything like that. And, and of course, to me, I'm like, you're hearing so much of that now, that when you finally see women who say, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and a traditional wife, they're not met with equality of saying, oh, good, feminism is a choice of, a woman should choose her own decisions. They're met with like almost the patriarchy answer of, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to set us back into like 1950. And how does that set you back into the 1950? Because that's some of the comments that were in some of the in this post. I was going like, I was stunned that these are women. And it's like, okay, so you want to be a girl boss, but I don't want to do that. I've been there. I didn't enjoy it one bit.
Mhm.
Everybody
But I
wants
tell you that
that.
that's from their programming, not seeing that they've actually been programmed into the whole woke, whole and it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's almost, for me, I've always been a feminist all my life,
Mhm.
but for me, the feminist movement has been intercepted and has been it's been intercepted and infiltrated. And
Mhm.
what we're actually seeing now, the young feminists in this whole, sorry, fake woke, and I know I'll
Yeah.
send your comments, I really don't care,
Yeah.
my own opinion, um, of how women need to be mini men. No, we don't need to be mini men. With women, we have our own beautiful, strong, independent qualities. And
Mhm.
to want to have a, and it's interesting, you said, the love there, that how to have a loving relationship. Love, if you actually study psychology, and this is why they're trying to pull you away from love.
Mhm.
Love is one of the most highest, beautiful, angelic, divine vibrations for living your
Mhm.
life. It creates a foundation, a platform from where you can actually build, grow, and ascend.
Mhm.
Anything below that puts you on a rocky foundation. So the instant you want to take love out of the dynamics is
Mhm.
the instant you're on a rocky foundation. And if you're on a rocky foundation, then you're always going to be in survival mode. If you're always going to be in survival mode, you're always going to be pliable, malleable, and you're going to be able to be controlled.
Mhm.
So I asked for the feminists, back off, leave these women alone. These women, you may not want the life that they have chosen, but they have the right to that choice.
Mhm.
You're not They're not putting anything backwards. In fact, what they're actually doing is starting to build a solid foundation that is balanced.
Yeah. That's like lost, as a matter of fact. You don't see that that much often. As we were saying earlier when we were having this, putting everything together for the podcast, and I mentioned that my brother and I were having this conversation about traditional marriages, and I always thought that I had a traditional marriage, and it turns out the more we dug into it, it wasn't so. And to me, that was a realization that I had to come to terms with, because I believe that that was the case, but that's actually why we have so much friction. And every time when we did a podcast about, you being your feminine and being, and so that you mass feminism, feminine, and him in the masculine, you could have this power couple. And
Mm-hmm.
when we tried that, that was really amazing. And it was very true. It was, I was in my feminine, he was in his masculine, when we had this wonderful, finally clicking. It was like, hey, we're finally getting together. But again, I want to say society doesn't allow that, because when we did that, we weren't in here in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the US. And I know that in the US you have a little bit more of a traditional marriage than in Sweden. But when we're in Sweden, it's almost like he's overtaken by what he grew up with, which is, of course, it's not bad. That's how he grew up. And marriages here work because they have the same values and traditions. But when you have someone who's very, very tradition, just as myself, it clashes. So no matter how much you try to make it work, it's really hard.
I'm going to pull you back on that. It's not bad. And I know that for you, it's difficult to dish Sweden because obviously you've got family there. It's very,
I'm not
but,
dishing Sweden. I think for
no,
like
but
because
their whole social structure has, when you look at the changes that they made
mhm,
to bring equality for men and women, and we've discussed
yeah.
in the previous, it was kind of brought in for the tax system and everything. But if you actually look at the psychological studies, they've got massive suicide rates,
Hmm.
they've got massive self-harm rates,
Hmm.
they've got massive divorce rates.
Well, not really, because they never get married.
What? But well, that, yeah, but for the
It's quite easy
percentage,
to
when you
get.
actually do percentage wise, it's
Yeah.
really high. for the amount of people that get, when you do it on a percentage level, okay, so their marriage levels are low, but when you actually do it, the few people that have got married, then the percentage of divorce from those few that have got married is very high.
Yeah.
When you actually start looking at these statistics, they don't have it. Okay, you may go there and on the surface and go, oh, women, they get, men can have the time off with the children and you can do this, but it's the deeper foundational destruction that is taken place within that. It is causing a lot of issues, because the trad woman will not overshadow her husband. Her husband is the lead. And this is where a lot of feminists go, oh, I can speak for myself. A trad woman absolutely knows that she can speak for herself, but she allows her husband to speak for the family. And in the privacy of their own home, she's the one that has the last word. She's the one that runs the finances. She's the one that runs the budget. She's the one that organizes everything. And those are roles that both of them have chosen.
Yes, for trad and traditionally.
She's not been dragged by her hair and beaten and told that that's what she's got to do. She's
no, absolutely
to
not.
do that because she finds it empowering. She's embracing her femininity. She's embracing her the way that she nurtures. It comes very naturally to her. The way that she has that compassion, the way that she can hold space, the way that she can multitask in a way that her husband cannot do. And so they're playing to each other's strengths rather than playing to each other's weaknesses, which is what happens in a lot of marriages.
Yeah, but I think Sweden is different. Like I said, it's not, like I said, I was in Sweden. Sweden is great, and everyone here is so lovely and nice. Met some of the most amazing couples ever, but it works for them because they're both in the same level, like they both understand that. So for instance, they both grew up here, they both understand the roles, and they both understand, like, okay, this is what we want, we're non-traditional, we're not going to follow all of this, old ways, and they're okay with it. And the society allows the woman to go to work and be able to provide for herself, and the men expect that. And so that's why trad women will never thrive here, because the other women that are actually here will always be like, why aren't you working, or what are you doing, or what's it going? And so that traditional marriage, tradition of what we believe in, it's really hard to thrive here, because it's constantly being challenged by, what are you doing? Like, why aren't you providing? Why is this okay? So to the point where, for me, it's become problematic, because I when someone asks me, what are you doing? And I almost have like this anxiety of what am I going to answer, which it's crazy because I do so much. I mean, I work and I teach, and, and I do the podcast and I'm hosting. And when I'm not doing that, I'm doing data research. So, but ultimately I chose those because I can be a stay-at-home mom. But so to me, it's like, okay, it's society that's changing those values, or changing that idea. And again, I'm not trying to diss on Sweden, because Sweden is like a good example, because you have a structure that helps the women, equality for both at work, and of course, the men take away as well, because they can take 1 year off and spend it with the child. So 1 year, so it's very equality where you can see that. So I think if someone was raised here in Sweden, and they grow up like that, or to have this marriage, it works for them because they're both on the same level. But for instance,
does it work for the women? Does it truly work for the women? And does it work for the children?
I don't know. We would have to ask them, right?
Because and I'm asking this because their statistics are pretty dreadful.
Yeah.
Their statistics of I mean, the statistics are high. I mean, we've got it in England as well. We've got it in England where women have been encouraged to go out to work. the amount of children that are self-harming, the amount of children that are suffering with depression, the amount of children that have got psychological, they're suffering and with psychological trauma because of separation disorders. And is it really, because what's the price of equality in the sense of the legal term that the governments are giving us? And what is, because as far as I can see, the trad wife has got equality. She's got respect from her husband.
And see, I think that's what a lot of people misunderstand, that point where I've tried to explain that it's obviously, it's about respect. Like you said, it's about respect, and it's about having both roles really understand what they're supposed to do. And growing up in a very traditional family, my mom stayed at home. She had to work when things were tough, because that's, you help out when you can. When my dad was going in between jobs, she actually ended up working but then dad was home. So it's still somebody that was providing, staying at home with the children. And then when he got back on his feet, okay, I'm gonna relax now and do something. But it's a marriage, and it's a couple that are making decisions together for their family. And for me, watching, it's hard sometimes to have my spouse understand that what I'm looking, like my representation of what masculinity or husband is, it's not what is here or provided here. So I'm having that hard time explaining. And of course, he probably sees me as this person that's very needy, or oh my God, you're not doing it, this and that, blah blah. So we haven't come up with the way to communicate that properly. No matter how much I tried, and I've, like you said, I work with a lot of men, but the men that I work with, when I started looking at it, they're very traditional men. So it's easy. And then I realized I've actually never worked with anybody from Sweden with their views or anything. So the men that I work with are, like I said, they're very, very traditional. And so it's easy for me to explain and help them. And they get it immediately. Whereas here I'm just like, what language am I speaking? We're not communicating. I mean, I've gotten down like, listen to me, this is not how it does. But he believes it's his money because he worked for it. And he can make decisions for himself without consulting me. And then
what's the point of being in a relationship?
And so I was just like, I don't think
I'm not focusing that towards you.
Yeah.
That's the question I'm putting out in general, because to me, if you're going to have separate lives like that, what's the point of having a relationship?
Yeah, exactly.
It should be done together. And I think that's for me the beauty of the trad wife is, yeah, okay, it may be old-fashioned, but it doesn't diminish the woman in any way, shape, or form, and it doesn't take her rights away, and it doesn't mean that she's not intelligent and she's not forthright and she's not absolutely brilliant.
Exactly.
What it actually does is it means they are working together, they are playing to each other's strengths.
Yes.
And they are making decisions, they are having discussions, and they're making decisions together about their life together. When you've got the modern relationship where that's, I earn that money, so that's mine, and you're looking after the kids, so you can have this amount to sort out the kids. Well, what about you? You've stayed at home, you've given up your career. What about you? Where's your security and all that? The kids are okay. You're putting food on the table, you're dressing the kids, you're doing this, but where's your security? Where's your freedom? Or you sat there going, oh, please, sir, can I have some more? And this is what really annoys me when we see women attacking women who want the traditional role where they are empowered.
Yeah.
This is thousands of women that are out there that are in the modern relationship that are completely disempowered by the dynamics of the relationship.
Because I think that's why they believe traditional women are, that it's a forced stay-at-home mom because of the economy, or it's misogynistic, or it's patriarchy, and they're forced to stay at home. And so if that's all they've seen, because that, of course they're going to be like, oh my God, you're going back to the 1930s. Like, the only reason, I've heard this argument with someone who goes, the only reason that the women back then stayed with the spouses because they weren't allowed to have banks, they weren't allowed to work. And I said, that's not entirely true, because my grandmother was allowed to do all that. As a matter of fact, she was the one that would come home late because she was in an orchestra, and so they had gigs and everything. So, and they were married to the day they, she passed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
My grandfather's 93. So no, and she chose that. And my mother, another one, and my, aunts and uncles as well. I think what I started to notice now, it's that when I really looked into traditional or trad wives, it is, like you said, they are empowered through their husbands. Because what I saw and what I had discussion with my dad, which I didn't, he just the one gave me this talk, I guess, because he saw something. But he was just saying, I'm the provider. I make sure she's okay, and I want to make sure that not that she has everything she needs. And at the end of the day, it's she that makes the decisions. I will verbalize it, but we come to an agreement. And sometimes she makes me see things that I don't see. And sometimes she gives me the courage to pursue things that I was scared of. And therefore, she is the backbone of this family. She's the brains of this family. She's the neck of this family. But at the end, she comes right next to me and I verbalize it. I'm just the mouth. Yeah. Kind of said it. And so by empowering her, and he's got respect for her, he's got the utmost respect for her. And my mother doesn't feel the need to do all this. I'm going to work. I'm going to be this boss girl. I'm going to do this. She's totally free to do whatever she wants. And she has always done so. That's why, to me, I was like, that's what I wanted in marriage. I saw that my mother was free and she's always happy. She loves to cook. She cares for everyone. She's such a nurturer. She does so much for the community. And my father just sits back and lets her be her and shine. Yeah. And it's a protector. And that one he says, I feel good seeing her do that. The fact that she raised you guys, everything that she's done a lot, because I was able to fulfill who I am because of her. And when my father, I don't know if you guys know this or I've said it before, he makes classical guitars, and he actually made one of the biggest Disney guitars, Coco guitar. When they offer him the Hispanic of the Year award, he dedicated to my mother, because he was like, this is for you, because without you this would have never happened. And so that is not true that stay-at-home moms are setting back. No, they're contributing to more than that, to the next generation of kids that are going to thrive. They're doing just as much work.
You brought up a very good point there, and one that we really need to take a step further in another podcast, is the fact that your mother was free to not only provide for her husband and her family, but she was able to nurture and provide for the community. That there, for me, is a big indication of why women have been steered away, why women have been fed the lie that actually there was, and I'm not going to take away that there wasn't certain oppressions in certain areas, because there were. And if you married the wrong man, by God, in the 1930s up to the 1960s, even the 70s, it was difficult for women. It was in the early years, it was impossible. There have been lots of incidences where women have been oppressed, but do not be fed the lie that is coming out at the moment, that within a happy, healthy marriage, those women were oppressed. They weren't. It couldn't have been happy or healthy if they were. What it was is they were quite happy working in the background and allowing their husbands to be the mouthpiece, knowing full well they were equal to within the relationship, because that gave them the energy and the time to be able to nurture their community. So not only were they creating a really good life for themselves, but they were able to create a really healthy community for everybody else. And this is one of the big lies, because this is what, when you actually go into the spiritual realms, this is the big battle that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's huge. And that
yeah,
because that's exactly what's happening. Our communities are falling apart because everyone's too busy being boss.
yeah.
Everyone wants to be the boss.
Me, rather than we. And when they are we, it's their way or the highway.
Yeah.
This podcast is proof of that. Women are coming out and saying, actually, we want a traditional life, and they're being attacked by other women because of it.
Yes, it's very true. And which then it opens up to this whole new thing about, too many single women and men flying to other parts of the world to find a wife because they want that traditional wife. And of course, everyone has heard of passport bros, which the idea of it, to me, I'm like, okay, but we've done that to ourselves. And women are upset that, oh no, these men are going somewhere else to find wives because they can't put up with us, we're too much. It's not that we're too much, it's just that
we don't know what we want. Women,
exactly.
A lot of women don't know what they want. They don't know what they want. And we've had that podcast before.
Yeah. And or they're saying, okay, our standards are so high that you're willing to go somewhere else. And they've had some backlash now where the women in these other countries are saying, we're not less than you just because, like, hello. And there goes again. You think they're attacking the man? No, they're attacking this woman in these other countries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you not see that you're not really attacking the man? Okay, you're not saying like, oh, it's because we have high standards and those women don't. That's why you can go there. I'm like, you're still attacking the woman. And this is kind of what we're saying here. When you have a track,
it's identifying the fact that you've stepped out of your femininity and stepped into your masculinity, and you are acting on behalf of the patriarchy, who is the actual people you say you're fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the oxymoron of it, isn't it? That's the absolute oxymoron of it.
So to me, it's just like, okay, this is ridiculous, because again, I spent a few months in the US and California, specifically around woke culture, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, because I've been so far from it that I didn't see it. Like, I'm here in Sweden, it's not that bad, but it's a different culture. Here it's just settled. Like, people, like I said, the couples that I've met here, they're wonderful, they have beautiful marriages, and they do last some of them for a long time. And especially up north, they have more traditional ways. But it was interesting because my perspective was that, okay, this is what women are doing, and okay, now, like, if I'm not doing this, then I'm not providing for myself and I'm giving into this. But then when we really get down to it, it's like, wait a second, why can't I have that? Why can't I just be a stay-at-home mom without feeling judged? Because it's not the men that are saying something, it's the women. And this is what the podcast is about. It's not about a traditional marriages, it's about how women are attacking other women for choosing to be a stay-at-home moms. And for a long time, even I was like asking my mom, because I was feeding into this, I'm like, but are you happy? Like, are you really happy? Because I was like, I wanted her to say, no, I hate this, because then it would validate everything I felt at that moment, that I was being fed, from society. And so for her to say like, no, I'm actually quite happy and I wouldn't change anything, I would do it all over the same way. And to me, of course, that wasn't the answer I was looking for. So I kind of started digging more and more, and then showing her all these, but look at this and this and this and that, right? And on the other side, I have my brother who's also going, no, but look at this. So our conversations are really interesting every time we have them, when it comes to traditional and versus non-traditional marriages and all that stuff. But it was at that moment when I had the realization of, I was asking my mom about, was she happy? Because I needed that validation for her to say, no, don't ever do this, right? Because society was telling me that that's wrong. But then when like I said, I get down to it, I was like, wait a second, no, but I actually, when I feel, like I said, when I felt my most beautiful, intense power self and with my most feminine self, and I had this power couple moment, it was when I was in my truest feminine, energy, and he was in his truest masculine energy. And for that brief period, we were that,
Yeah.
power couple. And I see that in my parents, I see that in my grandparents, I see that in my family, I see that in some marriages where and this is the battle that I still have, because I know this other couple, he works as well, she's a stay-at-home mom. He basically, like, his thing is, ask her, she's the boss, ask her, she's she's the one that takes care of that. And when they go on vacation, or she goes on vacation with the kids, if he's working, he goes, hey babe, I just everything's booked, I got everything ready, a car's gonna pick you guys up, and here's this and that, and if you need this, here's that. And if it's like, just, even though they're not together, and of course she's more than capable of doing all of that, but it's the fact that he went out of his way to provide that security, to give that, saying, hey, I'm still here, taking, providing, and caring for you guys,
Mhm.
even though I'm not next to you. That security, that level of security that she gets from him, she transcends that to her children, because she's secure, she's strong, she knows she's loved, respected, and admired.
Mhm.
She has those feelings inside her, that energy of her, and that transcends to her children, who therefore are going to be strong and, very
Secure, confident.
secure, confident
Yeah.
kids that will
Yeah.
thrive in society.
Mhm.
But that's where we need to focus, because that's not what's happening. What's
That's not
happening
what's
is, like,
happening.
you go do your own thing. She's kind of scared. Oh my God, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to pay for this? How will I get from A to Y? She will figure it out.
Mhm.
But the anxiety and the fear of, oh my God, I'm doing this, even though some of women's like, oh no, I can do this all for myself and blah, 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 blah. It's still there, because
Yeah.
I've done it. I've gone
But
on vacation.
it's coming from a place of hostility rather than a place of love.
Exactly.
And we need to be looking at the energies here. If you want to be, I was a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
I was a single mom. I was more than capable. Was it hard? Yes, it was hard. Were there, but did I do it? Absolutely, I did it. Sometimes, and to the outside world, I made it look easy. But that didn't mean that at night I was not in my bed and I was not worrying and I didn't suffer with anxiety. And for all intents and purposes, when my daughter was little,
Mm-hmm.
she was a very confident, very outward going, very vivacious child.
Mm-hmm.
But as a young adult, those anxieties that I had, that I thought I protected her from energetically, had reached her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is what we need to take into account. Sylvia and I are not trying to tell you how to live your lives. What we're trying to say is, please stop beating up on each other for the choices that they make.
Mm-hmm.
Stop pushing your agenda on other people. Allow
Mm-hmm.
people the freedom to live their lives, to observe and to pull from it what resonates with you, and you live your life the way you see fit. That
Mm-hmm.
stop beating each other with sticks of, oh, this is better and that is better and this is better, because what we're actually doing is just we're causing the separation and the segregation, and
Yeah.
we're basically dismantling community. We're dismantling our own psyches and our own
Yeah.
strength.
Well, even, like, let me just bring up the whole community thing, because that one just popped up for me right now. And that is, back then, like you said, there's been single moms all of the time. And the whole, it takes a village to raise a child. Even though the majority were traditional families, and you knew that one mom was not, the whole community will help out to help out the mom. But when everyone's doing their own thing, it's hard to check up on somebody else, because you're too busy just trying to get through for
Mm-hmm.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're trying to survive, and we're on constantly this survival mode that we've had for the past 2-3 decades now. And the dismantling of strong communities there is a reason behind that. And I truly believe, I'm not gonna get into this conspiracy theory, but I believe there's like something cynical behind this dismantling of communities and tradition. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, how you're so far right. No, listen, this is what makes you happy at the end of the day. It's what makes you happy, what works for you, but truly happy, because that's the energy that we want to see come out. But and also most importantly, if those women who decided to stay as home moms, like traditional marriages, they chose that, not to attack them, because they are in their element.
Yeah.
And that goes for me too, because I realize now I'm very traditional, my husband's not traditional, and so I need to make that decision where what's gonna happen, right? Because it's really hard to live with someone who's the opposite of you, and what's gonna work. And I'm not saying it's not gonna work, because I'm sure there'll be ways to make it work. If there's another family just like mine where we're like, just trying to figure it out. But I think it's communication and finding out at the end is
how can you meet in the middle?
How do you meet in the middle? Exactly. Because it's very hard. For me, it's hard sometimes just to make, like I said, it feels like we're talking two different languages and we're not getting through, and I'm not getting through. And I'm constantly like an anxiety mode, survival mode here in Sweden, just trying to get through. But when I lived, in traditional, I would say America, I didn't feel that, because it was okay, it was accepted. No one asked me like what it was, it was almost like a privilege. Oh wow, you can actually stay at home mom. That means your husband's doing quite well, right? Yeah. So that's what it looked like. And I had the privilege. Imagine that. I have the privilege of staying at home. Even sounds wrong.
I think
but it is.
Yeah, I think that's a really good place to end this one. It is a debate. It is, not everybody is going to have the same opinion. Not everybody is going to have the same beliefs. That's absolutely fine. But please do not keep attacking each other. Ladies, I implore you, stop playing into the patriarchal system by attacking other women. Just stop it. If you don't understand something, ask a question. If you need clarity on something, ask the question, but don't attack. And so that's bye-bye from me.
And me. And as always, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Please follow us also on social media. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so, and please leave a review, as it helps us grow and bridge the gap between the sexes. If you have any topics you would like us to cover, shoot us an email. Until next time, go out and practice putting all your cards on the table with no judgment, expectations, and fear.